What's up, Hyperdrivers? Welcome back to the channel. Today I got a new Ahsoka Tano lightsaber set from Lightsabers. This video is going to be a little different than my normal unboxing videos. I will unbox it, show you guys all the contents that it comes with, but in this video I'm going to show you guys how to add custom sound fonts to a Xenopixel 3 lightsaber, because that's what this one comes with. We're going to go over the steps of putting the sound fonts in and also adjusting the blade styles so that you can create a really unique sound effect and look to the lightsabers that you pick up. So let's get to it. Welcome back, Hyperdrivers and newcomers. I'm the Medinalorian, and here on the Hyperdrive we talk about Star Wars news, collecting, and video games. If you like the content that you see on this channel, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you can jump to light speed every week with us right here on the Hyperdrive. All right, so let's go over everything that you get with this lightsaber set. So from Lightsabers, you're gonna get the carrying case that I love so much with the combination system to protect your lightsaber and carry it around with you everywhere you wanna go. So that's dope. Always like when you get these. And I love that sound. When you pop it open, you're gonna pretty much get double of everything. It's because she has two lightsabers. So you get two sets of display stands so that you can set that up and put that together. You get two Allen key wrenches. All right, you're gonna get two charging cables. You get two instruction manuals. All right, and you get two of the blade plugs. Again, with the blade plugs, they don't really fit inside of the hilt, so you know, they kind of stick out. I'm not really digging that about these, but it is what it is. Just not going to use them is all. You get two blades, so because you're gonna have two lightsabers, so you definitely need two blades. So you get two sets of Neopixel blades, all right, and then you get the lightsabers, which freaking sick. Oh, you also get this too before I get to the lightsabers. You get two sets of the standard Allen key wrenches with screws so that you can put your blades in, and then you also get two USBs that you can put your SD cards in so that you can do the customizing that we're going to do in this video. So we're going to be going over how to install your sound fonts. Okay, so here are the blades that come, or the blades, the hilts that come with this lightsaber set. This is the Ahsoka Tano set, based off of the Rebels or Mandalorian style lightsaber. So that's what these are meant to look like. They look really nice. I like the look of them. There is your emitter. I love that gold section around it, which is cool. And you got a real nice design. You got a D-clip in the back here, and there's your opening for the speaker. Your Covertech wheel on this side, and then your one button ignition system. So that's your one there. And then you have the smaller offhand lightsaber, which looks similar to that one as well. Same thing, D-clip on this side, with your opening for your speaker and the pommel. And then your emitter in that section there, and your on and off switch right here, okay? So that's the two lightsabers. Let me show you what this thing sounds like factory right now before we even get into doing any customization. So this is the reasoning why I want to do the upgrade to these lightsabers. So let's do this. So to start this lightsaber, you press and hold the button. Power on. So the very first thing is that these are very loud lightsabers. I'm not a big fan of the way the Xenopixel sound when you first get them. So that I want to see if I could tone down the volume a little bit. But once it's on, and then you just press the button and it ignites, okay? You can see that you have LED lights in there, so that if you didn't have a Neopixel blade, you could still actually get light coming from there as well. But you hear how loud it is. And then the other thing that I'm not really a fan of with this one is when, you know, the Xenopixels have like a standard set of blade fonts that are just generic. I want to actually have some Ahsoka Tano and other named lightsaber fonts with the blade color correct and all that. So I want to do that, and that's what we're going to do in this video. I purchased a bunch of them from Kyberphonics, and I got the Ahsoka Tano for the Mandalorian, for Rebels. I got the ones from the end of the Clone Wars. I have an Inquisitor that I'm going to throw on here. So I'm going to have a couple of different ones that we're going to throw on here, and that's what we're going to get into. But mainly what I want to do is lower the initial sound when it first turns on, And then I also want to install, like I said, some named sound fonts and everything. So we actually have something that sounds like it belongs with this hilt. So let's get to it. All right, so the very first thing that we're going to get into before we start disassembling the lightsaber and removing the SD card is we're going to upgrade the firmware on these hilts. Okay, so to do that, what you need to download is the application Xeno configuration.
App connected.
And it automatically recognizes that I connected. I've already done it to one, and I'll show you how to do it to the other in just a second. So we have it connected. What we're going to do then is we're going to go and find the hilt, which it's right here. Let's rename it. Here we go, down here at the bottom. Let's rename this one, and we'll call this one Ahsoka 1. And that's because we have two. In this case, you can only connect to one at a time. All right, so now we know that's Ahsoka 1. Let's update the firmware, and it says it's update software right there. So let's just click on that. It'll let me know if this is the current firmware. New software upgrade. Let's do it, update it, and it's gonna start the firmware update.
A few moments later.
All right, we're about almost done. 98, 99, and now it's going to install it.
Beginning update.
There it goes. This part's pretty fast. All right, upgrade successful. And that is how you do the upgrade.
Update successful.
There it goes. Update successful. That one's ready to go. Let's take and connect to the second lightsaber. So we'll turn this guy on.
Power on.
All right. Let's do the same thing and connect to that one. So we'll do connect, and it sees it, confirm.
App connected.
It's connected. And then now all we got to do is rename this one and just basically do the same thing we did to the first lightsaber to this lightsaber. All right, so now we got the firmware upgraded in both of the hilts. Let's pop this thing open, and I'll show you guys how to access the SD card in both of these hilts. They're a little different than any other lightsaber that I've worked with, and they're actually different from each other. So if you decide to buy these, you might want to follow along with this, but if you are using a different lightsaber that has a Xenopixel version 3 board, and you just want to see how to add the sound fonts, you can skip to that part. I'll make sure I leave a marker so that you guys can just jump to that if that's what you want to do. Otherwise, let's get to it. All right, so both of these hilts have a cover on one side that will come off, and it comes off on this entire length of the one side of the hilt. To get to it on the bigger one, first thing you're going to do is remove this Allen key here that is tightening down the Corvatec wheel. So you just unscrew that. All right. Quick. Put that off to the side. And then on the opposite side, this just screws right off with your hand. Okay. This will slide off. And then your cover pops right out, and you got this real pretty chassis. Both of them have this really nice gold-plated chassis on the inside, which looks really cool. So on this one, the SD card is right over here, but you're gonna want to remove this one and this one. It's because you're gonna need to remove the battery, just so you make sure you don't short anything out. Now on this hilt, it was really, really tight, and it appears to have retightened itself. So if it does get that way, you can use a flathead screwdriver and kind of just wedge in there and twist a little bit to pop it open. There it goes. Okay, so that pops right out, and there is your SD card right there, right over here. Okay, and then this one here, now that you have that out, it's the cover up here. This just pops right out very easily. And now you have access to your battery. Now you want to make sure that you pay attention to which way the positive side of the battery is. In this case, the positive side is aimed towards the emitter. You want to make sure that you take note of that so that you can put it back in the correct way. Otherwise, you'll short it out. All right, so that's that one. And then on this one, on the shorter one, it's just these two screws right here, these accent screws. Okay, that one and that one. And then again, this part slides right out. I try to keep everything together so that way I don't misplace things. And then this will pop out. Now on the shorter one, it's a little bit more tight. I remember it being tight like this. It doesn't just pop out. So if it doesn't pop out like mine is, then you're also gonna have to go a little further and remove the two back screws right here, or loosen them up at least, for the speaker cover, for the pommel. So let's loosen these up and see if that'll help them out. Pop out a little bit. Pop that and that. Okay. So yeah, see, once you pop it out, it loosens up. You don't want to take it out completely because your speaker's right there. So now your cover's off. There's access to the chassis. Again, like I said, gold plated, looks really nice. And this one, the card is right behind the battery, so you don't have a choice. You have to. You wouldn't have to take out the battery anyway, but you got to get that battery out of there. So just wedge in, and there you go. Just turn it just a little bit, and that'll pop that open like that. Again, pay attention to which way the positive is on this one, which in this case, again, the positive is aimed towards the emitter. So that's what you want to see right there. And then you can take and you should be able to pop it out just like that. Okay, battery is out, and there is your SD card way in the back right there. All right, so I finally got the SD card out. It's a bear. It's a little bit of a challenge to get it out of that one. I figure I'll start off with the harder one first, and then we'll work on to the easier one afterwards. And I'm only gonna show you how to do it on this one, but there's actually gonna be a duplicate on both of these. So anyway, you take your SD card here and you're gonna slide it into this USB here. And I hope I'm putting it in the right way. I mean, I imagine if you have a computer that has an SD reader, I mean, you don't need to use this, but you take and you plug in your SD card in your USB like that, and you plug it into the computer. All right, so when you pop in your SD card, what's gonna pop up automatically is this folder right here that has a whole bunch of stuff in it, all right? And it may look a little intimidating, but it's not all that bad. So we're gonna copy all of the contents of this, is because this is the contents that make your lightsaber essentially work, and we're gonna save it. I created another folder. I'm calling this one Ahsoka SD, you know, for the SD card. And we're just going to select all, copy, and paste it in here. And let it do its thing. All right. So now that everything's copied over here and you have a copy of it, so that way you, just in case you mess up on something, you can always just revert back to that. You can close that, and now you have your current SD card that we're going to put back into the hilt once we get it upgraded. So all of these numbers right here, all of these numbers correlate to a sound font. And with the Xenopixels, they number it 1 through however many sound fonts that you have installed on your hilt. Profi's a little bit different, and I could show that in a different video. But once you click in here, this will show you all of the different sounds that are set up for this particular sound font. So you have everything right here to let you know how this thing works, and they're all WAV files. So that's how it's read. You also have a dot font folder, which doesn't do anything. Let's see, it's open up to Notepad and see what it does. Okay, so this is what the dot font folder has. Not going to mess with anything in there. And I don't think there's the config file in here. Yeah, there's no config file in this one. So sometimes there may be a config file in here that you may have to delete, but you don't have to worry about for this particular one. All right. So that's all your sound fonts. What we are going to adjust is, one, we're going to change these sound fonts out. You know, so some of them anyway. I'm going to start off at number 1 and move down. But in the settings folder is a config file. This is also your basic sounds that are in here. So you got blades, you got clash, you got all these different basic sound that you don't want to mess with. So we're not going to mess with anything there. What you want to find is this config.ini file. And you open that up with Notepad if you're using Windows. I'm not sure what they have for Mac, but this is what opens up when you have that, when you pop that open. So most of the stuff I'm not going to adjust, but we are going to adjust a few things. One of them that I want to try out and see how it works is adjusting the sound. It's because remember I told you that I feel like the lightsaber sound is a little bit loud for me. Could be okay for you, but for me it does sound pretty loud. So as you go down here, you can see that you have the pixel RGB switch. 0 means off, 1 means on. So these are different options that you have. On is always 1 and 0 is always off essentially when it comes to computers. So just remember that. You have also these other options here. So you have your blade length. You can adjust your pick number of LED lights that shine out. So if you want to put a smaller blade in, you would adjust this number here. This stuff here can be adjusted via the Bluetooth app. So I'm not going to really mess with that. You have side blades if you're using like a cross guard or something like that. And then you have the max volume for the board. This is what I want to adjust right here. So it goes from 0 to 100%. 60 is the default according to what it says. And I like that they tell you everything that you need pretty much to understand what's going on. So it's very spelled out for you pretty much. So 60 is the default sound. That's where we're at currently. I'm going to adjust this to 40 on mine. You don't got to do that, but I'm going to adjust it to 40 just to see if that lowers the sound a little bit for me. And then, you know, I can play with it later, but hopefully it'll do that. So that's 40%. Okay. Max brightness, we're going to leave like that. Flash on clash, adjust sensitivity on clash, adjust all this stuff I'm just going to leave alone because I don't really want to mess with any of those settings. When we get down to here, this is where we're going to make adjustments. Okay. So once we take and put these sound fonts in, each one of those fonts is set up right here to adjust different light effects for the blade once it's turned on. So font 1 correlates with the number 1 folder that was in your sound files. So if we change that to say something like Ahsoka, we want to change your color and you want to change the effects of how the blade lights up and turns on and turns off as well. And it tells you again, you know, planed out real simple right here what everything does. So these first 3 numbers that you see right here is your RGB. This is your color. All right. So you're going to pick the color that you want to go along with the blade. And then you have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. And it says all the way down here, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. And lets you know what each one of these do. So A is the hum light effect. This is how the blade effect looks when the blade is on already. So you can have an unstable that flickers a lot. You have a rainbow blade that gives you like a rainbow blade effect. Pulse blade gives you kind of like a hum to the blade where it kind of just pulses very slowly, which is what I like. So you can take and make those adjustments there. You have blaster light effect. So this changes the way the light looks when you hit the blaster effect button. You have force light effect that changes your force light. Lock up light that happens when you lock up the blade, shows what light effect that's going to have. You have your default clash light when it hits. And then you have the F, which is the, this is your preons essentially is what F is. So that's over, that would be this number here, 0. So 0 is your standard. So that means that the blade is going to turn on like normal and turn off like normal. Velocity blade has a different effect when it turns on. Torch blade has a different effect. All of these affect the way the blade looks when it turns on. For me, I'm going to keep these mostly at 0. It's because, you know, all of the lightsabers that I'm messing with are, you know, standard look to them. But these can all be adjusted via the Bluetooth app later if you wanted to mess with that. So I'm not really going to mess with these at all. I'm going to keep them at 0. But if you want to have different preons, that would be where you would make the adjustment. And then G is the speed of each font. I believe this is how the sound is when the blade turns on. So it works with the preons essentially. So I'm probably going to keep these as normal as well. And then you have the off speed, so the on and off speed. So that's basically how the sound kicks on and kicks off. And you know, we could test that out, I guess, later if we want to see how that works. But That's what these adjustments would do. And I'm going to keep those pretty much what they are. So those are the effects. Let's go ahead and get the sounds, and we'll go and swap these things out. So we have the configuration file there. Leave that open. We'll minimize it, and we'll come back here, and here is the blades. Let's go get the folder with the sounds. All right, here we goes the different ones. So I named them to try to keep things together. So when you get your fonts from Kyberphonics, they're going to have fonts available for different types of boards that you have. Okay, this is the one for the Mandalorian. I'm going to go with the standard ones. And then you have the options for Asteria boards, CFX, Profi, Verso. In this case, we're working with Xeno. So we're going to open up the Xeno fonts. And this is everything right here you need for that sound font to work the way you want it to work. Okay. So we're going to take, and what we're going to do is we're going to replace number 1, because that's where I want it to be, with this sound font pack. Okay. So I'm just going to take and select all. All right. And we'll paste in here, and it should just overwrite it. Actually, we'll just take and grab this and delete this first. Let's delete. Yep. And we'll paste it. And that'll bring in all of the sound fonts now for Ahsoka. Okay. So that's number 1. Now that we have that set, we're going to go back to the configuration file, and we're going to go to number 1. So it's down here. Okay. And it tells you right here what color works with what, at least a little bit so you understand. So it says the default blade color for each font color data. So red, green, blue with the range of 0 to 255 on each. 000 is no light at all. 255, 255, 255 is white light. So she has a white blade in the Mandalorian. So we're going to change this number here to 255 and this number here to 255. Okay. Now the first one here is set to the default, which is number 1. So that's A. So we'll go to A up here. Okay. Number 1 is steady blade. I want her blade to have kind of like a pulsing effect. So we're going to go with 6. All right. So we're going to change this number to 6. All right. And then down here is your sound. So speed of each font. 200 is basic, and then higher numbers is slower on speed. And then then you have this, which is your off. So 500 is your basic, and then you have 650. So that's a little higher. So it's a little slower with the ignition, and it's a basic ignition when it comes to that. And that's it. That's going to adjust number 1 to a white light with a pulsing effect, and then you have your on-off effects right there. And that's that one. So let's go ahead and change it up for the others. And I'll show you one more thing before we get done and reinstall the card. Okay, so I'm all done adding the sound fonts I'm going to add. I only added 7 of them. So like this, take this one for example. This is the Ezra one. And what I did was added a text file and named it Ezra here. That doesn't get read by the card at all. This is just so that I know that's what that is. So number 7, and then I also made the adjustments here. Number 7, made it a green color, and then added a certain hum and different types of effects here. These numbers at the end, I found out are the actual speed of how the blade will ignite and deignite. So I adjusted some of those too. I have a Vader in here, made it a little bit longer so we could see how that gets affected by those changes. Okay, so we're all done. All we gotta do is hit save. And we can close this out, and we can close this file out, pull the card out, and then we'll get it installed. All right, we got her offhand lightsaber all put back together. Actually went back together a lot easier than I expected it to. Let's turn it on.
Power on.
All right, and let's see. It already sounds a lot better, I think, when it started off, so I think that volume adjustment was the trick. And let's connect to the saber. Saber.
App connected.
All right, we're connected. Perfect. All right, so let's see the font selection, make sure we got what we wanted. So, let's see.
Ahsoka Tano, Bo-Katan sent me.
Perfect. Now that's the Ahsoka Tano, so we're going to select that and turn it on. And now we got that one, so that's cool. Let's see what else we got. All right, so that was the Ahsoka Tano Mando, and then we'll get, let's see what else we got. Set 2 should be the Rebels version of Ahsoka. All right. Perfect. All right, and then let's try the next one. That's
The dark sword.
That's the dark saber. I left that one the same, so that's the same on as it was before. This should be, I believe this is Vader. I think is what this one should be. So let's see what comes up. Oh no, this is Ahsoka, the one from Clone Wars. So it's got the blue. All right. Kind of sucks that they don't have it in a way of naming. You know, it's kind of just by numbers, so you got to remember what you put it at. So we got that one. We got the Ahsoka from Clone Wars. All right. The next one I think should be Vader. Yeah. All right. Got the Vader. And then we should have the Inquisitor, or I think this would be like the 6th brother. So, which is conveniently at number 6.
And who might you be?
Sounds dope. All right. And it's got like a flame effect to it. All right. And then we got Ezra Bridger as the last one. So Ezra should be the very final one, which is number 7. So font select 7. We should get Ezra.
Ezra Bridger.
There we go. And then I turn it on. And it's green. And that's all of the sound fonts that I added to it. Now, just listening to the sound of the speaker, it does sound a little bit crackly. I almost want to take and lower the volume even more on this, so I may pop out the card again and then just drop the volume a little bit more. And it could also be because of the vibration. This D clip right here is loose, so that could be causing a little bit of the vibration sound. But yeah, it sounds a little bit crackly in my opinion. All right, so all we got left to do is to copy all of the sound fonts that I put onto this card onto the other one. So real easy peasy. And with the magic of YouTube, I now have both lightsabers with the custom sound fonts and blade styles installed, which is super awesome. Very nice, bright white lights. Look at that. These are really, really cool. All right, let me show you all of the effects that were added to it. So I'm only able to connect the Bluetooth to one at a time, obviously. So here we go. Let me just show you some of the things that come with this one. So adjusting the volume down to 30 on this one made the sound a little bit better for me. So you hit that button. See how it ignites and de-ignites? It's pretty neat. You can do gesture, which is cool. And I think you can still do stab. Yep, you can still do stab. All right. So very cool. Other things that they have with the effects are, let me show you. All right, so you have lock-up light, drag effect. So you have the tip that's going to make an effect. Blaster bolt, flash on clash, and then you've got force light effect, okay? So very cool. And then I even got a custom soundtrack in here. And it plays soundtracks, which is super cool. All right. So that's everything on how to install custom sound fonts and blade styles on a Xenopixel lightsaber. As far as my review on this particular hilt, I feel it's a cool looking hilt. I like that they did a really nice job with the design of it and everything, but this guy rattles, and both of them make a rattling sound when you have the lightsaber on, and it's because these covers that are here are not they're not well seated. I think is what's happening, because I noticed that with other sound fonts, when I switch to it and it's a little bit louder, you get a lot of vibration out of the handle, and when I hold on to it, the vibration sound goes away. So keep that in mind if you decide to get one of these type of hilts. It may just be mine, but you know, this could happen to you. I do feel that the way the design of these hilts are, it doesn't do well with keeping things very tight and getting rid of that rattle sound. So just to let you know, that's what my thoughts are on it. But that's it. That's my thoughts on this lightsaber. Let me know what you guys think about these two in the comments below. And until next time, may the Force be with you.